From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour. On the News Hour tonight, bandits kill 32, burnt 74 houses in southern Kaduna. Ex-DPO arrested as NDLEA intercepts 22,000 kilograms of cocaine. Tank explosion in Soba town, residents panic. And on the foreign scene, Guinea Interim Assembly holds first post-coup session. Hello and welcome to Trust Television News Hour. I am Martia Umar. Now the news in details. 32 persons were killed, 74 houses were burned in southern Kaduna. Senator representing Kaduna South, Danjumala, wants people in the southern Kaduna to defend themselves against the unabated killings by terrorists in the area. The report.
The lawmaker said this when the Southern Kaduna stakeholders paid an assessment visit to the 3 affected communities that recently came under attack by the terrorists, who killed 32 persons, burnt 74 houses and destroyed food items and other valuables worth millions of naira. The villages are Kurmi Masara in Zangon Kataf, Mararaban Kaguru and Sonjay in Kaura local government areas of Kaduna State.
We must live up to this petition and they will continue to protect and defend themselves at all costs. No two ways about it. I didn't ask them to go out and go and fight. One should not leave his area to go and fight outside. One should remain in his house to protect his house and protect his life. It is very, very important for one to know that life was not purchased in the market. It was given to us by God. 4 people are killed. 4 people are injured. So we put them to the hospital.
Some of the victims, while narrating their ordeal, said the elderly, women and children were also killed in the attacks.
Burnt houses in this community are over 40 houses. So many were burnt in their bedrooms. Over 20 people were killed.
They divided themselves, some from the other end and then the other one at the other end. Some came through this way, shooting sporadically. People had to run helter-skelter. End day for them, burning, looting, and so forth.
The victims also appealed to the government to beef up security in the areas to avoid further attacks.
Death toll from Zamfara attacks rises to 23 as bandits attack yet another community in the state on Friday night. Several people are displaced as community members say they are still waiting for government intervention.
Another bloody day in northwest Nigeria as bandits killed 23 in a fresh attack in Nasarawa Maifara of Safi local government area of Zamfara state. Thousands fled their homes and hundreds displaced as they failed to redeem the levies slammed on them by terrorist groups.
We're still confirming people that are missing. They burned our houses and my house was also affected with harvested food in the house. We don't know the number of houses affected so far. They taxed us money, we paid for peace, but they still attacked.
The fight against this terrorist group remains weak according to residents, as everyday attack of these community continue and fears with the heart of many.
I was not able to carry anything from my house when they attacked. We had no option than to flee our homes for safety. Currently, these bandits are in our homes requesting we give them money, and we don't have the money to give to them now.
Many left homeless, thousands still missing, and hundreds still fleeing their homes for safety. From Zamfara State, Aaron Asahel, Trust TV News.
And elsewhere, Soba town in Soba local government area of Kaduna State is thrown into pandemonium following a fuel tanker explosion in the area. The incident happened Sunday morning while offloading fuel at a filling station in the town. Details of what led to the explosion remain sketchy, but eyewitness said no casualties are recorded. The tanker is completely burnt as firefighters from Zaria local government area tried to put out the fire. A resident of the town, Shehu Soba, said the tanker driver couldn't move the vehicle from the filling station due to the gravity of the fire. The National Drugs Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, says over 22,160 kilograms of codeine syrup, methamphetamine and skunk have been seized at Apapa Seaport and a notorious drug den at Kalamushin, Lagos, in two major operations in the state by its operatives. A statement signed by the agency's Director of Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, said while a total of 14,080 kilograms of codeine syrup and 4,352 kilogram cold caps used to conceal the former in a 40-feet container imported from India were intercepted on Wednesday, the 2nd of February 2022 at the Apapa port. Cannabis, loud, skunk imported from Ghana and methamphetamine weighing 3,727 were seized in an early morning raid at Akalamushi, where 17 suspects, including 5 females, were arrested on Thursday, 3rd February. The seizure at the Lagos seaport followed intelligence from foreign partners and cooperation of other port stakeholders. Muslim rights concern Murik has called on Oyo State's government to allow usage of hijab by female Muslim students in the state. The executive director of Murik, Ishaq Akintola, stated this during an annual lecture organized by a coalition of Muslim women to commemorate the World Hijab Day in Abuja. Akintola noted that a failure to do so will be violating fundamental rights of female Muslims in the state.
Unfortunately, it has gone U-turn. It was quoted yesterday as saying again that hijab will only be allowed in Muslim schools. That is absolute bunkum, because there's no Muslim school, there's no Christian school. The truth of the matter is, all the schools where the government is funding, they are government schools, and that is our stand. It is that statement made by Seyi Makinde is illegal, unlawful, unconstitutional, and illegitimate. We are going to challenge it.
There has been some controversies on this matter in our country, which has unfortunately gone down to the school level and generated needless violence clashes. I wish to take this opportunity to remind all our fellow citizens that there's a lot we can gain by dialoguing on matters of religions and religious differences rather than resorting to violence. I call on all parents and our school teachers to ensure that in both words and action, they present their best model to our children to emulate.
If you see the topic of this year's lecture, the hijab as a metaphor for our national aspiration. Truly, the hijab represents everything that we as Nigerians, as a nation, aspire for.
The Emir of Muri in Taraba State, Abbas Tavida, says he's developing a ranching formula that will end the nomadic practice of cattle rearing that often lead to clashes between herders and farmers. The Emir speaks to Sunday Michael in an interview in Abuja.
With the direction of the central bank now, I believe, of course, it goes in line with the policies of the president, and I believe they will be consulting with the Ministry of Agriculture. And when they come together, we can easily address these issues one by one. You need at least one person to produce a minimum. One person running a simple system can produce about 200, 300, we say 1,000 liters a day. Nigeria needs approximately 1 billion liters a week. All these are coming from imports. Then you take second, the meat market. We have so carelessly run the beef market that the price of the beef has gone out of the reach of most of the people who are supposed to be consuming the beef. As a result, they are hungry and they are unproductive. So if we get the youth to go into the beef production, they will also be the consumers of the beef. Economy, my friend, is a cycle. Once the cycle breaks somewhere, then everything collapses. I remember what Ngige said yesterday, that if we joke with these policies, then we may lead to the ruin and collapse of the nation, and we turn out to be the biggest losers. So, from the statement of Ngige, it's very clear those in the government are aware of what is right, or at least partially aware of what is right. So, as far as I'm concerned, it is just a beginning. I am not a lone campaigner. I have never met somebody yet in Nigeria who said these ideas are wrong. Of course, it's very easy. I mean, some people are mentally lazy, they don't do their homework, and they say, well, maybe it's possible, maybe it's not. But definitely there's nothing wrong, because not everybody is a leader. So those of us who are in a position of leadership, we are supposed to sweat, we are supposed to have sleepiness, we are supposed to do our homework, we are supposed to create solutions, we are supposed to make these solutions understandable and applicable to the ordinary person.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan says the National Assembly is considering roles for traditional rulers in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to help address national challenges. Lawan said this in Ilorin during his Qatar visit to the palace of Emir of Ilorin Sulu Gambari in company of the Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak. Lawan is in Ilorin for a public function. He said the traditional ruler play a key and significant role in stabilizing the communities and societies of the country. Responding to the Senate President, Chairman of the Traditional Council in the state and Emir of Ilorin, Ibrahim Sulu Gambari, urged the government to exempt the traditional rulers from constitutional roles, suggesting that advisory role might suffice.
And a better and clearly official role and function in our constitution, so that we're able to have an all-inclusive governance structure that will ensure that our royal fathers do what they are doing today in a more official manner. In the northern part of the country particularly, and across the country generally.
About review of the Constitution. What we are saying from the traditional level is that we are not going to legislate. We don't want to legislate. We do not ask for legislation. We should be exempted from legislation. And what we are saying also, we should be exempted from the executive part of the government, because we traditional rulers are very careful, and we want peace for this country. So we considered that traditional rulers will not be legislating and will not be doing judicial participation. So all we are asking the country, all we are asking you, our very educated and elected people, is let us be a body of advisor to the governance of this country.
You're watching Trust TV's News Hour. Coming up after the break, Angela wants to remarry despite suffering from epilepsy. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
The idea was to give the interim government confidence that there is somebody, a military man, who is well known, who can be accepted.
You alluded to the case of your son, Umar Farooq. Are you in touch with him?
Yes, he phones us 2 times, sometimes 3 times in a month.
As always, when I'm talking about late Abiola, I still thank my God for directing me on things to do when when he gave me that leadership of this country.
Many of you honest Fulanis, you allow this man to cast aspersion on you.
You know, Zamfara is the mother of all bandits.
The biggest problem, if you permit me, is the fact that we have not been able to get the totality of our citizenry.
It's very, very difficult to have a fixed mind like that this one you will hand over to this person because you think you will do better.
I don't see myself under no circumstance ever leaving APC for another political party.
Now, here on the Mambila Plateau, and this is where the hydroelectric power dam is supposed to be constructed.
Most people in Nigeria are ignorant of the fact that employing a child as a maid is in fact against the law.
Access to the textile mill has been very difficult.
I believe, or I think that if you want to make money, it should be in a place where there are not plenty of people that can do what you do.
From the way things are happening now, I don't think the two parties will make any impact.
I've been talking about the updates concerning the campaign of Nigerian Super Eagles in Abuja.
Bola Tinubu has informed President Muhammadu Buhari of his ambition to contest for the position of president.
To be self-reliant, a blind man defies all odds to become a carpenter in Gombe State.
The country is now experiencing a fourth wave of the COVID-19 pandemic with the emergence of the Omicron variant.
Talks are ongoing between NRC management and the union.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust Television. Before we go on, let's take a look at our top stories. We told you that 32 persons were killed, 74 houses were burned in southern Kaduna. And the National Drugs Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, says over 22,160 kilograms of codeine syrup, methamphetamine and skunk have been seized at Apapa Seaport and a notorious drug den, Akalamushin, Lagos, in two major operations by the states. Now to health matters. Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has confirmed 145 new coronavirus infections in 9 states and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. The agency published the new cases in its update for February 5, 2022. 3 persons were confirmed to have died of COVID-19 complications on Saturday, bringing the country's fatality toll to 3,139. Meanwhile, 144 patients were discharged after recovering from the infection on Saturday. A total of 253,685 infections have now been confirmed across the country, out of which 230,126 persons have been discharged and 20,509 are active cases. Nigeria's Center for Disease Control, NCDC, also said 40 Lassa fever-related deaths were recorded in January, with 4 health workers infected with the deadly disease in latest outbreak of the disease in the country. This is coming as the federal government, through the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, says it is working towards developing Lassa fever vaccines to combat the outbreak.
In reaction to the latest situation report by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control on the Lassa fever disease outbreak, the Executive Director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shoaib, says there has been massive improvement in diagnosis as the federal government works assiduously to develop vaccines against the Lassa fever outbreak.
Lassa fever, as we can see, is now a seasonal disease. It comes in outbreaks, and we're working with the Nigerian Center for Disease Control to see how we can have earlier diagnosis and treatment against Lassa fever. Unfortunately, what we find is that it's the health workers that are frequently affected because in the end, patients go to the health facilities to get treated. We've seen people, health workers particularly, die in Benue, in Nasarawa State, and our heart goes out to the families of those health workers. But clearly, we've seen a very massive improvement in terms of diagnosis for Lassa fever. Some years ago, it was difficult. You only had maybe a center that could adequately diagnose Lassa fever, but we've seen an improvement. What the federal government is doing largely now is to see how, just like we did with Ebola virus, how we can actually develop a vaccine against Lassa fever. Once we're able to develop a vaccine, we believe that we'll be taking very strong steps towards being able to contain these outbreaks of Lassa fever year in, year out. So Nigeria is not at risk of losing
The National Lassa Fever Technical Working Group of the NCDC says the disease is preventable, while urging Nigerians to be cautious of the risk factors of the disease.
We have the Lassa fever high transmission season, in as much as cases are reported all through the year. But between November up until May is a season which is classified as a high transmission season. So this season is where over 80% of our cases, when over 80% of our cases are reported. So this is a dry season. So some of the factors that drive this high number of cases during the dry season would include bush burning activities in preparation for the next farming season. So this tends to displace the rodents from their natural habitats to the homes, and also drying of foodstuffs at the roadside. So as you drive around the country now, you see lots of foodstuffs, grains being dried by the roadside. So in the process of this drying, the rodents can contaminate the foodstuffs, and then when it is consumed, the person can become infected. And the other thing is poor harvesting and storage. Poor harvesting and storage facilities. So if the crops are not well stored, the rodents can have access and contaminate them. The other key thing is hunting of rodents. So in the process of hunting and handling this rodent for processing for either foods, there are some cultural practices that include consumption of rodents. So these are all risk factors that could lead to exposing one to the Lassa fever virus and then becoming infected with the disease.
It is, however, advised that health workers maintain a high index of suspicion for any patient presenting with atypical symptoms of the disease. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
For a person with epilepsy, a range of factors can combine to produce a heightened sense of anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, and feelings of isolation. While most people with the condition learn to deal with these feelings, some may respond to such pressures by reacting to an overly aggressive, asocial, irritable, or introverted manner. Angela is an epileptic patient who has found a way of dealing with isolation by putting words on paper. She also believes her condition will not stop her from getting a husband.
I'm Angela Ogonna Chukwulobe from Anambra State, North Anambra State, Nigeria. When I'm overstressed or unhappy, or no one to feed me or help me, I can be in someone, I can lose my conscience and the form of one, being epileptic. I'm just a young lady that loves reading and writing. After many years, when I lost my parents, I was just alone. Don't know what pushed me. I started using my Bible to write, and what I'm writing, after writing, I'll just go through what I wrote down, and I'll be happy to read the story. And what is there makes me to be happy. That makes me all the time. I can go out and come in. And whenever I goes out and see something that can push me to write, I can just put a title and then come, when I'm in, I'll just brief it alone, and then suddenly it come out as a story. And that's that. Since then, I've been writing. Then whenever I write, I can go to some shops or markets and then market it one by one. After writing one, you can still use the money to write another one. That's why I'm able to write out all these books, which are 22 in numbers, and I still have over 25 different titles on printed ones. Through this book also, sometimes I'll go and buy drug. The drug can cost me 2,000 or 3,000. I've gone for operation in my place, and And after the operation in my brain, that cost me 8,000 naira, which I went out with the help of people that helped me to pay for the operation bill. But still, I still experience that kind of sickness, which I don't know what I will do. Sometimes I will be unconscious in terms of when I'm unhappy, when I didn't have anything to do, or when I overstress myself. That is when I will be expecting some kind of sickness. You just said that which I don't know. I've gone to. Whenever I go to any doctor, they will still tell me to keep on drinking that drug. That drug used to pay me for me to buy it, but it always makes my books me able to have money to print out like this. All this, I don't know what to do. If I have printed ones with me around, still the same. All these things have been a problem to me, and because of my condition, I'm a young lady, and that means that my condition, even if that things that made me to stay in my father's house till now, I determine that no matter what and whoever that comes, no matter the kind of being that comes to me, that I must leave my father's house in order for me to have peace, both in my father's house and also to see someone that will make me to be happy.
The immediate past Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Safety Agency, NIMASA, Dakuku Peterside, says the revoked Electoral Amendment Bill has novel provisions that President Muhammadu Buhari should hesitate to sign the passed bill into law. The 2015 APC governorship candidate in Rivers State also told Trust TV that he believes believes in fuel subsidy and he believes that the subsidy removal through government needs a mass sensitization campaign to succeed.
My take is that if the only complaint the president had against the initial electoral amendment bill is the non-provision of other modes of conducting primaries or selecting candidates for election, and that has been expunged now and replaced with 3 different modes of direct, indirect, and consensus, I don't see any reason why President will not assent to the bill. Indeed, there are a lot of novel provisions in the reenacted electoral bill that will enhance the integrity of elections in Nigeria. And if there's one challenge we have faced over time, is that of electoral integrity. Recall that I was a victim in a period leading to 2015. INEC announced through regulation that it has made provision for electronic accreditation or accreditation using the card reader. We went all the way to Supreme Court, and the position of the Supreme Court then is that it is not known to law, even when it was admitted that there are a lot of irregularities. I am a strong supporter of the removal of subsidy, and there are many reasons for it. Subsidy does not serve the interests of the poor. It doesn't help the economy, and the way it's administered in Nigeria is fraught with a lot of corruption. Having said that, I do not also believe that this is the right time to remove subsidy. There are a few things that need to precede the removal of subsidy, including a massive enlightenment campaign and putting a number of safety valves in place. At no time will you remove subsidy that it will not inflict some pains on our people. It's like asking somebody to undergo surgery to remove a cancerous cell, and you say it will not inflict some pain. It will inflict some pain, but you have to endure the pain for us to live a healthy life. Or somebody is being treated for malaria. You said, look, you will not take any drug and the malaria will just go. That's wishful thinking. It will come with some pains, but we're saying let the pains be minimal.
Zoning of elective political office continues to generate interest among Nigerians. A cross-section of Nigerians on Sunday bear their minds on the desirability or otherwise of the zoning principle or rationale presidency in the nation's current democratic dispensation. Some of the respondents told Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman that an open contest will avail them the opportunity to choose competent leaders, not minding their regional affiliations.
Zoning or rotational presidency, as it were, was first brought into Nigeria's political lexicon by the People's Democratic Party. The idea was to carry every section of the country alone. Of course, creates balance and of course share power effectively in the interest of peace, justice, and unity.
Nobody can rule Nigeria, depend from where any kind of expert you stand. So now, capacity, that's what I always believe as a human being. I don't believe zoning from here, zoning that doesn't make any difference.
What the masses need is not the issue of zoning. The common masses out there can eat 3 square meals a day. What they are looking for is a government who can feed them, who can take care of them, irrespective of where the person comes from, as long as he's doing what is right and doing what is good for the common masses.
Zoning or no zoning doesn't solve or doesn't resolve anything in Nigeria. The only things that I am going to advise Nigeria, we should look into our picture, the kind of situation that we are into now, and know who is capable to be our president, that will listen to people. You cannot be a president without listening to your people.
What is happening in Nigeria this time around, I don't think that you can focus on that zone. The one that can take up Nigeria and make good news, or that is the person that you can give him mandate.
Okay, go to East now, see the development in East, and go to North and see the development in North. You will see the difference. So let them zone it to East.
Nigerians have spoken, but one thing that remains certain is that the gentleman agreement called zoning is considered at the moment one of the albatross of the 2 major political parties in the country, the PDP and the APC. A strategic decision to be taken with regards to the zoning arrangement will define the chances of the political parties ahead of the much talked about 2023 presidential contest. Shapir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And still on political matters, the People's Democratic Party chairman in Zamfara State, Bala Mande, says the move by the State House of Assembly to impeach the Deputy Governor, Mahadi Gusau, is reckless and undemocratic. He said that there is a subsisting court order stopping the lawmakers when they had earlier made the attempt to impeach the Deputy Governor, and no one has vacated that order. The report.
The chairman spoke shortly after the party consultative meeting in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital, while reacting to the document which the Deputy Speaker and Chairman, House Committee and Public Account, Honorable Musa Bawar, submitted to the Speaker of the State Assembly, Nasiru Muazu, for the impeachment of the State Deputy Governor last Friday. The state lawmakers accused the Deputy Governor, Mahadi Gusau, of breach of the Constitution, abuse of office and financial fraud. The PDP state chairman, Bala Mande, said the only credible threat the ruling All Progressives Congress APC in the state is facing is the towering personality, acceptance of the Deputy Governor, Mahadi Gusau, by people of the state and beyond, which is why they are jittering. He said the Deputy Governor is still with them in the PDP and has no intention whatsoever to leave the party, and they believe the ruling APC is scared, frustrated by the rising popularity and confidence the Deputy Governor Mahadi Gusau is enjoying from his teeming supporters.
As you can see, concerned citizens of the Zamfara State from all walks of life are beginning to consult with us, and some discussions on how best we can get Zamfara out of the woods which we find ourselves in at the moment. You can see to my right here is Dr. Naala Isa Mayana, a patriotic citizen of Zamfara State, coming to discuss with us and expressing his concern and worries over the situation. And he is not alone. With other associates of his, we have had some time to discuss how we shall partner to work out the rescue mission for the Zamfara State. There are malicious motivations. You know, the era of politics is about him. The only credible threat this government in Zamfara State is facing today is the towering personality of the Deputy Governor, Barrister Mahdi Ali Sow, who is still in PDP with us, and he has no intent whatsoever to chicken out of it.
Na'Allah Mayana, who is one of the high-profile politicians in Zamfara State, said he has come to consult with the PDP on how they can wrestle power from the ruling APC so they can take Zamfara State people out of the wood.
The chairman of the Zamfara State PDP has summarized what we have done. That is a consultation meeting. So, very soon, I will see what we have completed. So we are here to complete. Thank you so much. But our rescue mission is political, and we want to have a genuine government that can protect the citizens.
The PDP pledged to partner with concerned citizens of Zamfara State to work out the rescue mission for the state.
A conflict resolution expert has called on the Nigerian government to publish the names of those whom they discovered to have been financing terrorism and insecurity in Nigeria. Jackson Amayo made this known while fielding questions from journalists during the decoration ceremony of newly conferred professors and Doctor of Philosophy by the Metropolitan International University, United States of America. He added that while the government is combating terrorism using its military, it shouldn't take dialogue off the table.
The people involved have really gotten to the real core people who are part of these issues. I don't think there will be problems. So instead of dealing with people who seems to mastermind, there are people who mastermind all these attacks and the security problems. So if they get on the road and meet these people, I think dialogue and resolution is the best approach. The only modality which I see is more dialogue by reaching out, consultation, reaching out to the people at the grassroots who are more or less the masterminders. Yeah, I think the best way is that the government, a few days ago, I saw that they published the names of, they know the names of the financiers of the security people. So the best thing they could do is to publish those names in national dailies, let Nigerians know them. I think if the world knows these people, I think there will be a better approach to remedying the situation of insecurity in this country.
You're still watching Trust TV's News Hour. We'll be back after the short break.
Coronavirus disease, COVID-19, is an infectious disease caused by SARS-CoV-2 virus. Most people who fall sick with COVID-19 will experience mild to moderate symptoms and recover without special treatment. However, some will become seriously ill and require medical attention. The virus can spread from an infected person's mouth or nose in small liquid particles when they cough, sneeze, speak, sing, or breathe. These particles range from larger respiratory droplets to smaller aerosols. You can be infected by breathing in the virus if you're near someone who has COVID-19 or by touching a contaminated surface and then touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. The virus spreads more easily indoors and in crowded settings. Maintain a safe distance from others at least 2 meters even if they don't appear to be sick. Wear a mask in public, especially indoors or when physical distancing is not possible. Clean your hands often. Use soap and water or an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Cover your nose and mouth with your bent elbow or a tissue when you cough or sneeze. Stay home if you feel unwell. Get vaccinated. Properly fitted masks can help prevent the spread of the virus from the person wearing the mask to others. Masks alone do not protect against COVID-19 and should be combined with physical distancing and hand hygiene. Protect yourself and others around you by knowing the facts and taking appropriate precautions. Follow advice provided by your local health authority. This message is brought to you by Trust TV.
Welcome back. You're still watching the News Hour on Trust Television. And moving on to other news. On the international scene, Guinea-Bissau Foreign Affairs Minister Suzy Barbosa has said that the Kupis attempted to kill President Umaru Sissoco Embalo. The senior minister said this on Sunday while briefing President Muhammadu Buhari on the coup attempt to oust the President Embalo that has been aborted by loyalist forces. She gave graphic presentation of the attempt to overthrow the constitutional order in a country at a meeting on the sidelines of the African Union Summit of Heads of State and Government holding in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. President Muhammadu Buhari, in a statement issued by spokesman Femi Adesina, promised to consult with other ECOWAS leaders on how full normalcy could be restored to the embattled country at the shortest possible time. Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyama comments on outcome of the meeting.
And keep the country as one, and really expressed his gratitude and believes that Mr. President's role and support and encouragement have been absolutely crucial to stabilizing the situation here in Ethiopia. And they looked at the situation around the continent, the coups that are taking place in many different countries, and conflicts in a number of countries, and have this sense that Africa is we're not progressing as we should, and going in the direction that we really should with these challenges. And we're reflecting on what the big countries like Nigeria and Ethiopia, the two most populous countries on the continent, and other big countries in Africa can do that this is a situation, a critical situation for Africa, a crossroads that requires leadership, good, solid leadership, and that it was really the responsibility of the big countries on the continent to now step up and provide that leadership for the whole continent. And so they are looking at how to come together, a few countries, to deliver that leadership.
Guinea's Transitional Assembly has held its first session 5 months after the military overthrew its democratically elected president, Alpha Condé. The body tasked with organizing a return to civilian rule met for an inaugural session in the capital, Conakry, on Saturday. The Transitional Assembly President, Danza Kuruma, in his opening remarks said the mechanism that brings elites to power and allow them to remain in power almost indefinitely must be definitely resolved. He called for a constitution to be drawn up that will not be easily modified. Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, who led the coup and was sworn in as an interim president, has promised to reform the state, fight corruption and reform the electoral system in order to hold free, credible and transparent elections. Rescue effort to save a 5-year-old Moroccan boy who fell into a dry well on Tuesday had captivated the world as people followed the painstaking 5-day operation to reach him. Jubilation at the news that Ryan Oram had finally been freed on Saturday evening soon gave way to sorrow when his death was confirmed by local authorities. On Twitter, where the hashtag Save Ryan and its Arabic translation had been trending throughout the Arab world, users left messages of condolence for the boy's family as well as praise for the rescuers. Rescuers were able to feed Ryan and provide him with oxygen through an opening in the well and introduce a camera to monitor his progress. However, efforts to widen the well to reach the boy were fruitless, and rescuers opted instead to use diggers to strip away the earth at the side. King Mohammed VI of Morocco expressed his condolences to Ryan's parents in a phone call. And in sports, the African Cup of Nations is holding right now, and the finalists, the final teams are Egypt and Senegal. Right now, we are being joined by Jabir Sambo, a BBC sports analyst, and he talks about the African Cup of Nations 2021 and, of course, the finals. Good evening to you, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you.
So the African Cup of Nations have been in play for days, I would say weeks, and we've seen action span out in this competition. So how would you rate the African Cup of Nations for 2021, ranging from the fact that we actually postponed due to COVID-19?
I think it was a successful tournament, and the host Cameroon should take that credit. You know, before the game, there was panic due to COVID-19, as we said, with the emergence of the new ensuring that the tournament went ahead as planned. And we have seen from the onset how some of the tournament's favorites left so early. For instance, the defending champion, that's Algeria, who could not even make it to the group stage, and Nigeria's Super Eagles, who many believe had the strongest squad, but lost to Tunisia in the last 16. And another thing is the performance of smaller nations in the tournament. I don't know if we can put it this way: tournament's favorites like Gambia and Comoros, who managed to reach the knockout stage of the tournament. Remember, to everyone's surprise, Comoros were able to beat Ghana in the group and eventually knock them out of the AFCON tournament. Another history that was made was the debut of the first female referee to officiate the AFCON match, Salima Mukansanga from Rwanda. Also, we shouldn't forget Mali versus Tunisia game where the referee ended the game before the 90 minutes as Tunisia were trailing Mali by 1-0. So I think overall it's a successful tournament.
Looking at the two teams playing right now, the score is still goalless, and nil for Egypt and nil for Senegal. Sports pundits like yourself have described the journey of the Pharaohs of Egypt has a very tough one. The first game was against Nigeria, and then they met Cameroon. They defeated Cameroon just a few days ago, and now they're here. Senegal was one of the favorites for the African Cup of Nations 2021, and they're slugging it out right now. What do you think the outcome of today's game will be?
Coming to the final, I'm not surprised seeing Senegal and Egypt emerging as the last two. Remember, Egypt were the finalists in 2017 AFCON, but they were beaten by Cameroon. But they took revenge and ended the dream of the host. This time around, 3 penalty shootout. And the Pharaohs have won the AFCON, you remember, a record 7 times coming to this tournament and looking for the 8th. But if we talk about Senegal, this was their second final in a row. They lost to Algeria in 2019, and this is their 2 consecutive finals. And remember, they lost to Algeria, and that did not stop them from being the best team in Africa. If you look at the FIFA ranking, Senegal is the first. They have the likes of Sadio Mane of Liverpool, Kalidou Koulibaly of Napoli, and they have Chelsea keeper Edouard Mendy, among others. So it's a pointer that they can challenge the title. They also have a coach in Aliou Cisse who have experience of being a player and a coach. He lost AFCON in 2002 and against Cameroon, and he lost in 2019. So I think he have the experience to take this team to the final as we are seeing it now. But remember, Egypt have average team, but they have experienced players like Mohamed Salah and El Neni. So they are helping the team moving forward. And I think they have luck on their side. You know, they played 2 shootouts before they reached this final, unlike Senegal. And remember, the battle between the 2 countries, it's just starting. They will meet in the World Cup. I think they will play 2 matches at the World Cup before, like for a place in the Qatar 2002. So it's like, I think we can't say for now who is going to win this game. But remember, the first half it's for Senegal. The second half it's like 50-50, I can see. So it's going to be a very tough game. And you know, Mane lost a penalty, but as Senegal are playing, I know they are holding the position for now. So it's going to be a tough match in the extra time, I think. And remember, these tournaments have some incidents. Remember, in the group stages, we have issues surrounding the VAR and officiating. We also noticed we have like 7 red cards in the knockout stage. But overall, I think the tournament is, we can say it's successful. We can say thank you to Cameroon for hosting this.
Okay, from what you said right now, it seems that Senegal are your favorite teams to clinch the trophy of the African Cup of Nations 2021. 3 minutes
I think they are the
and,
favorites among the favorites, if I can put it that way, because they have the strongest team. You know, it's like they have more professionals in the team than Egypt, but that's not a pointer. It's you can't see, because if you look at how the games at the group stage, how Comoros knocked Ghana out of the tournament. So it's not, I think we just have to wait and see how it will end.
All right, thank you very much, Jabir Sambo. He is a BBC sport analyst. It's a pleasure having you on the News Hour tonight.
Thank you.
And with that, we've come to the end of the News Hour and Trust Television. For more updates, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Martia Umar. Thank you for watching.
From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.